Hi everyone, welcome to the daily forecast on Euro-Dollar. Today is September 10th. This video is brought to you by Finteria Markets. Please check our website for more information about the company. So as usually, I'm going to start with a website service called Winners and Losers. It really helps you to understand what is happening in the market, which currencies are the strongest and the weakest. And as we can see over the last 24 hours, the British pound was the strongest currency and it gained 0.29%. The British pound has been flat for some time and finally it got a strong movement. So the loser of the day is the US dollar, which lost 0.36%. And euro is not really that far, it lost 0.24%. So yesterday was all about the ECB. However, it seems like it was more about the British pound and the US dollar because they had much stronger movements. If we check the 8-hour situation, actually it's pretty different from what we have on a daily chart. We can see different currencies are dominating. Here we have a bit of risk on, as we can see commodity currencies are gaining and safe haven currencies are losing. The Japanese yen losing the most. And if we check the 4-hour chart, we can see the same situation. And actually we added recently a new tool, which is called FX risk aversion. So it's a great tool that we have added yesterday, and it helps to evaluate risk on and risk off sentiments in the market. So you can see it across different timeframes and also the total average value. So currently it stands at 28%. So for example, well, the values above 20 are pretty neutral. But in case if you have very low or very high values, it means that the risk is off or on. So currently we can see that only an hourly time frame shows some sort of risk aversion. But generally, if we look at the stock markets, we can see a pretty strong opening across the Asian markets. Nikkei gained 1%, Hong Kong over 1%, and China also gained 0.43%. So it looks that the risk on is back to the markets and the day is going to be very positive for the stock markets. So let's return now back to the economic calendar and discuss events. We're going to start with the ECB interest rate decision. I would like just to give a few comments from my side. So basically, my conclusion is following that it was more dovish. First of all, we didn't have a lot of changes in the projections of the economic growth or inflation. They were slightly revised up by like almost 0.1%. The economic growth was revised for the current year, but it didn't change for it. There was some moderate revision. But I think what's important is that, first of all, the changes in the asset purchases programs are not tapering. And this was the main message of Christine Lagarde. She actually said during the conference call that the lady is not tapering. So even despite the fact that they will be decreasing the asset purchases, they call it recalibration. And it means that they're not planning to reduce them completely. So it was a quite dovish message for the markets. And second of all, that projections that they made, they were not really that significant. Of course, it was positive that they revised, but the inflation is still like their revisions for 2022 and 23 are pretty low and below the inflation target of 2%. So overall, also, this is what we can see from the markets. If we go back to winners and losers, and we switch the hourly, daily time frame, and here we can see that this was the market interpretation. So the euro lost because sometimes it's not clear what the market thinks. Sometimes the data can be very confusing, but it's important to pay attention to how the price behaves. And according to the interpretation of the price, we could say that it was really dovish. Another confirmation that we can get is from the bond yields that decreased substantially. First of all, I'm going to show you, it's loading. I'm going to show you the yields on 10-year German government bonds. You can see a really sharp decrease. This is the candle for yesterday, and it decreased by 12.5%. We also have, we can look also at other bonds across Europe. I don't have the chart here, but if you will check it on TradingView, you will notice that most of the bonds are decreasing in Eurozone. The yields on the bonds are decreasing. So that was the main interpretation of the market. So the market became more dovish about the euro. Generally, the news is good, but there's some dovishness, and I think there was some disappointment. So let's switch to the charts and look what is happening. So I think that the main question here is if, as the risk on is back to the markets, and probably it will put some pressure on the dollar. So the question if the dovishness of the euro is going to be the stronger than the weakness of the US dollar. So first of all, let's check the daily chart. We can see that the trend is still, it's still on, I would say, because we didn't have correction below 38%. As you can see, the support line 118 is still intact. We didn't break this level. There was some potential yesterday. We could potentially break this level and move below. So as long as we're above 118, we can consider that the previous movement, the previous upward trend is still intact. Let's switch to 1 hour chart. Here we can see the tendency. So there was another attempt to break 118. It seems like it's a pretty strong level. Maybe the next time we approach this level, we're going to break it. Right now, we are slowly moving upwards. In my opinion, the upward movement can be limited because of the dovishness of the ECB. So it will put some pressure on euro. And in my opinion, the movement would be limited. Given this fact, I wouldn't expect a very strong movement on the euro. I think it's going to stay within this narrow area. We can see like a small triangle here, and in case if we break it, we can move slightly higher. But I think still we might see a lot of pressure on euro today, especially it can occur on some other currency pairs. So in my opinion, there is only one possibility. Basically, if we would like to short, it should be below 118. But given the fact that fundamentals are not supporting, I wouldn't recommend shorts. And I'm sorry. Actually, I would recommend the shorts if the US dollar is going to show its strength and if there's going to be strong momentum in the US dollar. So we may see euro going below 118, and then here that there would be clear signal to sell it. For the moment, I don't recommend buying euro, even if it will break this triangle. I think that this upward movement will be quite limited. So that's it for today. I hope you liked this video. Please leave your comments and questions if you have any, and please check our website and the tools that we offer for traders. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.